Because of the untimely passing of Ozzy, even though people thought, well, it's probably going to happen fairly soon, it's still a shock. And because of that, I've gone back to one of his albums that I remembered but never really listened to very much. It was thought, I mean, he went through an awful lot of traumatic times, and, you know, his solo career is great and goes through several sections. The two first albums are perhaps a response to when you've been kicked out of your band and Ronnie James Dio's taken over and they're doing rather well. So Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman is a kind of response to that. And then you've got more hair metal stuff, Bark at the Moon and all of that, and hairier feel in the 80s with The Ultimate Sin and No Rest for the Wicked, which I reviewed recently. But this one I've kind of overlooked, and I remember at the time lots of the general feeling from magazines was it's a return to form, no more big hair. And although it was made in 1990 and came out in 91, so it's that kind of period, it does sound a bit grungy. It is No More Tears, and I prefer the next one, Osmosis, because you've got Perry on it. And but this, though, has got Mr. Tinker Train, which sounds like grunge to me. It's got a bit of an early Ozzy feel. A lot of the tracks on here have. He wrote 6 with Lemmy, and 4 of them were used. It's got a nice floaty section, but it's got a very sharp, and it will be Zakk Wylde with him. It does sound a bit thin and grungy. But you've also got on this Mama I'm Coming Home, which is an enormous ballad and did very well for him. No More Tears, though, the title track itself, sounds like 80s synthy, big bass, and then it becomes a bit kind of Beatles, with an ominous Beatles feel, and an Ozzy narrative, and a groovy solo. It's a big offer, but you've also got some really good, accessible radio rock stuff here, like Hellraiser and Zombie Stomp. AVH is like his early Ozzy days, which I don't hear in the albums that preceded it, or the last few. This is a radio rock album, and he became later on in his career, thank goodness, a real kind of, well, he's a legend, isn't he? So, but he produced music that backed that up. That's the great thing. He wasn't trading on past glories. This was a glory for him because it brought him to a lot more people's attention and did very well. But it's a radio rock album, and he could do that. He did what he needed to do, and thank goodness. Ta-ta.